Howdy YouTube, today we're taking a look at the Toys R Us exclusive Transformers from the last night movie. We've got the premiere edition of Skullitron. A really cool figure. I'm also going to take this opportunity to give you my thoughts on Transformers 5. I will try and separate this figure from the movie, but one thing I will say is that the figure is really cool, and it's a shame that the movie was probably the worst movie I've ever paid to watch. I rank it up there with Piranha 3D and also Paranormal Activity as the other two movies to round up the top three where I have really been upset. That movie was horrible, and we will get into it. Part of why I really didn't like the movie is that, for me anyway, the Transformer movies are all about seeing basically the toys come to life. That's, to me, what it is. It's like a giant commercial for Transformers. And unfortunately, in Transformers 5, I think the fundamental flaw is that the Transformers are not in most of the movie. They have, Cogman, who's a C-3PO knockoff. They have great fights between submarines for some reason. They have drones that look like Star Wars TIE fighters in there. But there's no real substance to the actual Transformers. Barricade is in there a fair bit. Berserker, who's the Decepticon that they released, is in the movie for literally 10 seconds. Megatron says, I want Berserker, and the government says, no, you can't have him. And then you don't see him again for the rest of the movie. Yet they release a figure of him. So really upset at that. Skullitron is kind of the same. I thought he was a Decepticon. Turns out he's one of the Knights. And a good one. He gets killed in a pretty lackluster fashion after probably 2 or 3 minutes screen time, which is very disappointing again. But the figure itself looks fantastic. There's some great weathering, great detail on him. And as you can see, he's a Toys R Us exclusive. The side of the packaging just has some of the Transformers writing. At the top of the card, hopefully you guys can see, there's a battle between Megatron and Optimus Prime, a battle which is very anticlimactic and disappointing. To sum it up, I guess he just sidekicks him off the ship, and that's it, which I was very upset about. Quintessa. Anyway, the movie was awful, and honestly, after watching it, I was so disappointed. Part of me wanted to go and throw all my Transformers away. I felt really upset and really, really unhappy and almost betrayed, especially with the figures, considering that, the figures they've released for the movie, at least, and I'm a Decepticon fan, the Decepticons are always shit in all of the movies. They get beaten very easily. And in this one, they didn't even have any cool scenes like they did in previous movies, at least in my view. So you can see on the back of the packaging, he's a Knight of Cybertron. He does look very cool. He changes in 17 steps. He turns into a goat, pterodactyl dragon thing. So we'll get it opened up out of packaging. They do have Megatron, which is a repaint of, and I forget his name, but I have reviewed him on my channel and I will post a link to it. But he turns into a stealth bomber. I am keen to get the Voyager class Megatron, or even the leader or the deluxe class if they do release the deluxe. Just because the design of Megatron was fantastic in figure form. A little bit different to how he is in the movie, but still a really cool figure. So let's get Skullitron opened up and out of packaging. Okay, here we have Skullitron opened up and out of packaging, and for what it's worth, he's a very nicely detailed figure. He reminds me a little bit of the Beast Wars figures. I think it's the head design there. Looks very nasty. I'll bring it forward so you guys can see. Pretty cool head sculpt. I love the colouring and the detail on the armour. At the store that I picked this guy up from, some had really good paint applications like this one. Others had some really bad paint applications. So just be on the lookout if you are going to get this guy, that it can be a little bit of a hit and miss. All the bodywork and everything on him you can see is very, very flimsy. That's part of the transformation process though. He's got your standard, I was going to say arm articulation, but your standard transformer articulation, in that there's a whole range of different poses and positions you can get him into. But overall, a reasonably cool looking figure. Definitely a big fan of the color scheme. I wish he was in the movie more. I wish he was one of the villains. Quintessa was not doing it for me, and it looks like they're going to continue down that path for subsequent movies as well, which is a little bit disheartening. But anyway, it is what it is. One other thing I will say that I was very disappointed about, Nemesis Prime. He was evil for 2 seconds. He's a bad guy. He fights Bumblebee, and then Bumblebee's like, Optimus, I would die for you. And then he turns good again. To me, the movie fell flat on a lot of levels. Anthony Hopkins, I don't know why he did the movie. Obviously money, but he didn't need it. I didn't think so. That was that. Mark Wahlberg was not fantastic in the movie either. In the fourth one, he was great. In this one, to me, it seemed like he didn't care, which was also disappointing. But anyway, let's get this guy transformed, and I'll show you guys his robot mode. Okay, and here we have him transformed. Now, he looks a lot less graceful than on the back of the box, but it is pretty much the exact same thing. I have followed all the steps pretty much as they're described in the instruction manual, and to me, he looks like a mess as a transformer, not one I rate very highly. Again, I have no clue what he's supposed to be. If we try and pose him a little bit like he is in the box. There we go. That's I guess more accurate to what he is supposed to be, which again I don't really know. As one of my friends described him, he looks like a flying goat. So not the best, I feel, Transformer design. He definitely looks awesome in his robot mode, but I'm just not a fan of his transformation as is, unfortunately. So there you go. That's Skullitron in his robot mode. And whilst, yes, I'm not the best at Transformers, just so you guys can see, the finished product does look pretty similar to what I've got there. So he's reasonably accurate to how he's supposed to look. Again, there you go. I guess the tail is down in the pic they've shown us there. And his hands are a little bit more sideways. I think they could have come up with a better design than this. I mean, I know they were going for the whole King Arthur Knights of the Round Table feel. He looks a little bit better, but I don't know, just not a big fan of this guy. Now, for a bit of fun, I will transform him back just so you guys can get a nice little laugh at how much I stink at Transformers. So let's give that a crack. This is not going to end well. There was a cool little Transformer gimmick that I did like quite a lot that I will show you. So the tail section, if we fold that back up, did have a really cool design. And this is something that I did appreciate. So this section here comes up. It can then spin around. You just have to be a little bit careful, but see, it clips in. Well, it should clip in at least. Where are we? The good thing with the Transformers that I really like is that because they have a lot of ball joints, if you do mess up, you can fix it relatively easily. So I'm pretty sure this clips on there. There you go. So we have his legs rocking and rolling. A little bit stiff there. That's okay. The poor man's way to transform your figures. Okay, so that's the back of him sorted. Front is a little bit more annoying. So this section rolls forward. Wings roll back. He's not terrible. Like, we have had a lot worse Transformers. There is no ifs or buts about that. I just think he would have been served a lot better had he been featured more prominently in the movie, and I think he could have made a very interesting and quite a cool villain as well. Now this armor section drops down, which I will do my best to do, and then clips in at the back here. which I'll sort out. Ta-da! No. Obviously it's not finished yet, but you get a rough idea of this guy. And obviously being very simplistic and very quick, there you have Skullitron transformed. So it's not too bad. He's a 17-step transformer. Again, I'll keep him in his robot mode because that's the one that I feel is the coolest option. Definitely has a great head sculpt and definitely has some great paint applications on him as well. And here we have him back, fully completed. You can see it comes with a very nicely detailed Cybertronian Last Knight sword. In that respect, he is a very cool looking figure. Great paint apps, great head sculpt. I wish he was in the movie more, and I wish he was more of a villain. But unfortunately, he is what he is. Kind of a cool figure. I recommend picking him up if you're a die-hard Transformers fan and you love the look of him. Otherwise, give this guy a miss. He's not in the movie much at all. He is kind of cool. He is definitely one of the better exclusives. He has a great face design, you know, with the Knight helmet being destroyed and so forth. That's kind of cool. His transformation isn't that great. Just be aware that the paint apps on him are a little bit hit and miss. And just for comparison, despite being massive in the movie, he's actually smaller than the two Decepticons, which is a little bit weird. Barricade does have a good showing in the movie. I will give full credit to that. He was the lead Decepticon in the movie. He gets the most screen time, I think, by far. Berserker, again, he's not even in the movie, and this is just a retool of, I think, Sidewinder from the third movie. So it's a cheap money grab. Still a really cool figure. He's the best one of the lot, by far. I just wish he was in the movie, and they could have made him fantastic in the movie. And they even have him in the movie for a split second, and then that's the only time you see him. So, very, very disappointing. Transformers 5, garbage. These figures, though, overall, pretty good. That's one thing I will say. The figures so far have been fantastic. Great detailing. Unfortunately, the franchise has been killed for me by the monstrosity known as The Last Knight. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this review, and I've got more stuff coming up soon.